Hi, hello. Welcome to another episode of Isaiah's Newsstand. It's your host, Isaiah Edwards. The date is April the 8th, 2025. Hopefully, this episode finds you well, in good spirits, and high hopes. As for me, I'm doing pretty good. It's Tuesday. We had a good one overall. No big complaints outside of, it sounds like it feels like I am getting sick. So that's a bit of a bummer. Also, I started off with some continuation of like the neck pain kind of thing. That seemed to go away with some Advil and some time today, so I was happy about that. But I just noticed that like the ick in my throat was just getting worse and worse, and I was like, "You got to be kidding me!" I think it's been about maybe a month, of not being sick, and now I'm sick again. So here's hoping I recover quickly and I don't have to take off as much time as I did last time. Here's hoping, or hopefully no time. I'd really like to just stay at it. Not that I like working sick, not that I like toiling, you know, under the weather, but it just is what it is. Especially, I don't like working out. That's the worst. But, hey, we got to show up. But yeah, no, work was good. It was, decently busy, but not crazy. Then segue into the gym. Gym was not too bad for Tuesday. Usually really busy, but I was able to get all my machines in, so I was happy about that. We love that. But yeah, not too much else to blog about outside of this cold I got brewing. So yeah, let's go ahead and do our startup and get into some news. I really am like a cold magnet. All right. Starting off with a story from the Associated Press. A nightclub roof collapse in the Dominican capital leaves more than 60 dead and 160 injured. The roof of an iconic nightclub in the Dominican capital collapsed early Tuesday during a merengue concert attended by politicians, athletes, and others, leaving more than 60 people dead and 160 injured, authorities said. Crews were searching for potential survivors in the rubble at the one-story Jet Set nightclub in Santo Domingo, said Juan Manuel Mendez, director of the Center of Emergency Operations. We presume many of them are still alive, and that is why the authorities will not give up until not a single person remains under that rubble, he said. Nearly 12 hours after the top of the nightclub collapsed onto patrons, rescue crews were still pulling out survivors from under the debris. Firefighters removed blocks of broken concrete and used sawed pieces of wood as planks to lift heavy debris as the noise of drills breaking through concrete filled the air. The confirmed death toll has reached 66. Mendez said late Tuesday afternoon. Earlier, officials said there were at least 160 people injured. Mendez said rescue crews were prioritizing 3 areas in the club. We're hearing some sounds. Nelsie Cruz, the governor of the northwestern province of Montecristi and sister of 7-time Major League Baseball All-Star Nelson Cruz, was among the victims. She had called President Luis Abinader. I'm gonna get this wrong. Abinader. I think it's Abinader. At 12:49 a.m., saying she was trapped and that the roof had collapsed. First Lady Raquel Abrahe told reporters. Officials said Cruz died later at the hospital. The professional baseball player of the Dominican Republic posted on X that MLB pitcher Octavio Dotel, 51, also died. Officials had pulled Dotel from the debris earlier and brought him to the hospital. Also killed was Dominican baseball player Tony Enrique. Blanco Cabrera said said league spokesman Satoshi Terrio. We're going to say Terrio. Among the injured was national lawmaker Bray Vargas. Relatives of the merengue singer Ruby Perez, who was performing when the roof collapsed, initially said that he had been rescued, but Mendez said later Tuesday that wasn't true. He said rescue crews were still looking for Perez. So yeah, I mean, there's more details on, individuals who, have been a part of this collapse. It's very devastating. It's very sad. Something like this happened. In terms of what caused the collapse, in terms of was there any kind of structural issues or anything like that? I haven't heard anything of bad maintenance, bad codes, or any fucked up ordinance. But the story is still new, it's still fresh, so I'll definitely be probably be coming back with updates, on maybe what happened, what was the cause of this. But yeah, I mean, it's very sad, it's very unfortunate. Everyone's just having a good time, celebrating, having a moment, and then next thing you know, it's a disaster. So, I wanted to start off with this story. Not that we are getting any better. We're gonna actually wind up talking about the IRS in the next story. From CNN, IRS reaches data sharing deal with DHS to help find undocumented immigrants and undocumented immigrants for deportation. The Department of Homeland Security, or DHS, and the Internal Revenue Service, or the IRS, finalized an agreement Monday to provide sensitive taxpayer data. I don't know why I swap between data and data, but I do. To federal immigration authorities as part of President Donald Trump's deportation push, according to court filings. As part of the deal, the IRS agreed to turn over information about undocumented immigrants who DHS says are already facing deportation orders and are under federal criminal investigation, including the crime of failing to leave the country, according to the filings. Now, I'm going to do something I usually don't do. I'm segueing over to another article that I just wanted to mention. I don't really think we're going to get too much in the details here. But from NBC News, Trump plans to fine migrants $998 a day for failing to leave after deportation. The penalties could rack up to more than $1 million. It also gives the administration free rein to take your property. So, they really are just ratcheting this shit up in every way, shape, and form that they can to, once again, boost these numbers, to try to get as many people out of this country as possible so that they can say, hey, we are making America great again by keeping you safe and keeping these illegals out of here. And they're not going to be leeching off your society, which is kind of crazy to say that because you're essentially chilling them on even filing for, taxes, for the IRS, because you're going to use that against them. So, I mean, they're really coming at it from all angles here. The announcement comes after months of tension within the IRS over the data sharing plans and internal concerns from career officials about the legality of the collaboration. It also comes after a tense meeting last week between the two agencies as they work to finalize the agreement. The chaos has led to the resignation or impending departure of several senior IRS officials amid the moral dilemmas posed to the agency by the Trump administration's immigration push, according to multiple sources with knowledge of the situation. This includes the IRS chief privacy officer and others involved in safeguarding taxpayer data. Now, this is something I don't usually say, but you got to give props to these motherfuckers who are like, look, yeah, I'm bad enough that I work at the fucking IRS. I'm already that kind of fucking person, but this is above. I'm supposed to be safeguarding these people's information. It doesn't matter whether they're illegal or not. They have opted into this process, and the least that we can do is say, hey, we're taking your tax money. We're going to give you a kickback, but yeah, you're also going to have your information safe. We're not going to use this to try to deport you. This is now officially a symbiotic relationship that works. So why would we fuck it up? Let's just respect it, keep it going, keep it more or less sacred. But essentially, the Department of Justice now, the Trump administration, is saying, well, it's lawful for us to use this information. Give us this information, exchange this information with the DHS. And now they've come to the conclusion that that is what's going to happen. Much to the chagrin of, even once again, some of the people who are working in this institution, in the IRS. So, I mean, this was something that I didn't see coming. I gotta say, I guess in that regard, yeah, I'm surprised that, like, there's no stone that these motherfuckers won't turn over to once again try to get closer to people. Because really all this is gonna do is maybe this gives you more of an updated list in terms of like information. Outside of that, you probably already have the information on these people that you're gonna get, right? Like, but maybe they've updated it to the IRS because they've moved or changed, whatever. So they're trying to use this as like a tactical advantage to get people and deport them. Once again, adding that whole fucking $998 fine, which is some bullshit. Once again, you're just trying to say, hey, once we got you, we are going to put the fear of God in you in every way, shape, or form. We're going to try to make this as miserable for you as possible to exist here. Which I think is fucked up. I think it's evil. And it's not doing America any fucking favors. Once again, I know that this is something that his base, his constituents really like. They think that this is a good thing until they look around and see that no, it's not. It's only making our fucking problems worse in our community, most likely, because now we have less people here to work and contribute to the fucking community. But whatever, maybe they'll feel safer at night. Oh, there's less crime because there's less brown people around me. I really don't fucking know, dude. Like, it's stupid. It's stupid as fuck. But let me go ahead and take a water break. We're gonna go ahead and segue. I've said what I wanted to say about these two subjects here. We are leaving the Trump first, a little earlier than usual, but yeah. Let's pull up. Let's pull out. Let me get that Wawa. All right. Our next story comes from the TCD, or also Yahoo News. Officials issue warning following recall of popular food item. Do not use, sell, serve, or distribute. A supermarket in Ontario, Canada, recalled ground beef due to the possibility that it contained pieces of plastic. K. Tilbury Food Market Limited recalled the beef in early March. The meat in question was sold at Foodland in Tilbury, Ontario, according to a local outlet inside Halton. The Canadian Food Inspection Agency urged people to check their food and dispose of any of the affected ground beef. Do not use, sell, serve, or distribute the affected products, their notice read. People were also encouraged to seek medical advice if they believe they consume the product because, you've maybe potentially inhaled some plastics of varying variety. Inside Halton explained that the CFIA had categorized this as a Class 2 recall, indicating a moderate risk that consuming the recalled food may lead to short-term or non-life-threatening health problems. Man, I really need to get a better handle on like what these classes are in terms of like what's class 1, what's class 2, what's class 3, because it seems like every time I cover these, like unless it's like something like the milk, like we got a mislabeled thing and maybe you have an allergy, that could be bad. Like I could see that being a little bit more mild on the recall list, but like something like pieces of plastic or wood or metal, like I don't know, those seem pretty code red. I don't know. Like, so I don't know. I need to get back on that. I need to educate myself a little bit on this class system for the recalls, especially considering how many we're doing this year. It's crazy. The sizes of plastic pieces in this recall remain unclear. Depending on the sizes involved, the health risk could include anything from choking hazards to chemical exposure. The rest of this article is more or less about plastic talk that we've already talked about. We've talked about PFASs before. If not, you can Google that, what those are exactly, and all the downsides of having plastic in your system and what that can do to your body. Where are we going as a society covered in plastic and metal, saturated even. Anyway, we're going to move on to our last story. And sadly, it's a chip off the old recall list. That's right. We're still doing recalls, baby. So yeah, let me close out with the last break and we'll get into it. All right, our last story comes from CBS News. Tostitos tortilla chips recalled after they may have been contaminated, Frito-Lay says. Frito-Lay issued a recall for some bags of Tostitos tortilla chips, saying these snack foods may have been contaminated with undeclared products. The recall applies to the 13-ounce bags of the company's Tostitos Cantina traditional yellow corn tortilla chips. The bags could include nacho cheese tortilla chips and therefore may contain undeclared milk allergens. The company said in a news release distributed by the U.S. Food and Drug Administration. The product is safe to consume for people who do not have a dairy allergy or milk sensitivity, Frito-Lay said in a statement. The company said no allergic reactions have been reported in connection with the recall. The recall affects less than 1,300 bags of chips, according to the news release. The full list of affected lot is available on the FDA's website. There are 13 states listed. As usual, I'm just going to mention that Ohio is a part of that little dragnet. So, for my local dear listeners, my lovelies, just, check your bag. Check your Tostitos bag if you got one. I gotta say, I haven't had a Cantina chip from Tostitos in a while. Excuse me. But I would say the top two chips from Tostitos specifically, from this brand specifically, because at this point I'm a mission man. But the scoops, revolutionary in chip technology. It's a whole little mini little food cup thing, so you can scoop your little salsa, your chunky little salsa, and if that thing don't break, oh boy, you're in for a treat. So number one, the Cantina chip, strong number two, because it has a good thickness to it, and like it was like the Cantina. It's supposed to be like the chips that you get at the restaurant, right? You know what I mean? It's supposed to have that kind of vibe. It's close enough. I'll say that much. I wouldn't say it's one for one. I would still go to my local, Mexican restaurant. I would still rather hit up Cancun. But, these chips are fine. They're solid. Unless you have a milk allergy right now and you got one of these, then you potentially might be in some trouble. But for moi, I'd love a little milky ass little chip. Give me a little nacho motherfucker. I would love that. Maybe not right now, but yeah, definitely would in the future. But hopefully we don't have this in the future. Hopefully we have less recalls. Recalls are not good. This is not awesome news that I'm giving you, obviously. But that is all the news that I have, actually. We got through it pretty quick today. Blame it on the cold. Blame it on the sickness. There's more tariff talks that we could talk about. The trade war is escalating with Donald Trump and China specifically. Economics are growing crazy, as they rightfully should, because this is insane times we're living in. We are going through a potential financial crisis that is wholly, solely man-made by like one guy in his administration. It's wild. I know I keep talking about this in and out, but it is crazy, radical fucking times that we are living in, all because of the whims of some fat fucker. It's wild. It's wild. And you could say, well, it's always been this way. Yeah, but like, man, some of these decisions are wild. They're crazy. And they don't make much sense. Just straight up, So yeah, interesting times and more ahead. But yeah, that's where I'll leave it for today. That's the episode. If you'd like to help out, support the effort, become a newsie today. Patreon.com/Isaiah News. Free ways to hit me up, IsaiahNews1@gmail.com. Feel free to follow me or the podcast on any of the socials. Subscribe to the YouTube. Follow me on TikTok. Follow me on Spotify. Follow me on Apple Podcasts or whatever listening platform you're on right now. Really appreciate it. Leave a like, leave a comment. Sharing is caring. Try that out. Hit that button. Boop, boop. Put me on your story. Oh my God, I'm yapping now, everybody. But, regardless, I never say this enough, but I always appreciate myself when I do. Thank you. Thank you for listening. Thank you for making it all the way to the end of this episode with my shitty little voice and my shitty little takes. It really means the world to me that you tune in just to kick it with me for a little bit. It is much appreciated. So thanks so much for tuning in. Thanks so much for being a friend. And hopefully I see you soon for some more good news. I love ya. Bye-bye. Mwah.